I'm completely hopeless at it. I was a really bad actor at school, and I've never been able to master the art of mimicry. But my husband, he does it really. He can do all the voices.
Prince William has just banned Queen Camilla, and this isn't some royal misunderstanding. It all started with a cruel remark about Princess Kate during one of her most vulnerable moments. That single insult triggered years of buried resentment. William didn't just get angry, he cut Camilla off completely. No more invites, no more family photos. She's out. But what caused this royal fallout? And why is William so done with his stepmother? Let's break it all down.
My goodness me, this was called I Wish I Would.
On the surface, everything looked picture perfect. Kate Middleton and Queen Camilla stood side by side at public events. They appeared united, calm, and graceful. At charity galas and state functions, they shared polite conversations. At royal weddings and coronations, they walked the same halls as if everything was fine. The media loved to frame it as a successful blend of old and new royalty, Camilla stepping into her queen consort role with dignity, and Kate, the future queen, embracing her place in the spotlight. This image of harmony wasn't just good PR, it was a strategy. The royal family needed stability, especially after years of turbulence from Prince Harry and Meghan's public exit. So Camilla and Kate did what royals are trained to do. They smiled and carried on. But if you looked closely, there were signs the warmth was only surface deep. Their interactions rarely felt natural. While Kate's connection with the late queen seemed genuine and respectful, her bond with Camilla always seemed formal. Behind the scenes, whispers were growing louder. People close to palace staff spoke of an unspoken rivalry between the two women, one rooted not just in personality differences, but in legacy and status. Camilla, despite her official title, never had the same public approval as Kate. The public saw Kate as the embodiment of a modern royal, educated, elegant, and scandal-free. Camilla, on the other hand, still faced quiet criticism due to her role in Princess Diana's tragic story, and it didn't help that Camilla reportedly viewed Kate's background as a sore point. While Kate comes from a supportive, successful family, they weren't aristocrats. Her parents ran a party supply business, something Camilla allegedly looked down on. To her, Kate's middle-class roots were never quite royal enough, and that unspoken class judgment lingered. But silence isn't peace, it's pressure. And when pressure builds, it only takes one moment to shatter everything. The tension didn't explode all at once. It built up slowly, through snide remarks and little moments behind closed doors. Sources say Camilla would often make passive-aggressive comments about Kate's upbringing, mocking her family's party business or joking about her mother's ambition. These weren't full-blown arguments, but the digs were subtle, pointed, and cutting. Then there were the comparisons. Camilla never liked how Kate was often praised for her poise, much like Diana. Whenever the press called Kate the new people's princess, it stirred old wounds. Camilla had lived for decades in Diana's shadow, and now it seemed like Kate was becoming the next figure the public adored. She would allegedly throw in veiled jabs saying Kate was playing the role too perfectly, or referring to her as too polished to be real. Kate, in true royal fashion, didn't respond. She stayed silent, but that silence wasn't agreement. It was restraint. She chose dignity over drama, refusing to be dragged into palace gossip or tit-for-tat exchanges. But even grace has its limits. Camilla began using her growing influence to push her own family into royal spaces. Her children, Tom Parker Bowles and Laura Lopes, started appearing more often at high-profile events. While there was no official rule against it, insiders say it felt like Camilla was trying to carve out her own dynasty within the monarchy, one where her bloodline was front and center. That move didn't sit well with Kate. For Kate, this wasn't just about titles or attention, it was about her children. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis are the future of the monarchy, but with Camilla trying to elevate her own family, it started to feel like that future was being challenged. And for a mother who's always protected her children's place in the royal legacy, that hit a nerve. Even William grew concerned. He saw how these small jobs were affecting his wife. He noticed how Camilla's influence was quietly shifting things in the background. And while he had long held his tongue for the sake of peace, there came a point where silence was no longer an option. The final straw was coming, and it wasn't going to be pretty.
I very much feel if I can do it myself, I want to do it myself. And there are times when you can't do it yourself and the system takes over, or it's appropriate to do things differently.
The gathering at Cloran's house was meant to be just another strategy session. Charles, Camilla, William, and Kate all sat down to quietly plan upcoming events. The room was formal, calm, exactly what you'd expect from a senior royal discussion, but underneath the polite tone, the tension was thick. Everyone felt it. Kate entered the meeting prepared. She'd reviewed the schedule and had notes in hand, ready to discuss ideas for a new children's mental health campaign. William sat beside her, supportive and focused. Charles, trying to hold things together, began by listing public engagements that needed reshuffling. Then Camilla spoke. Camilla's voice wasn't loud, but her words carried weight. She looked directly at Kate and asked, "Is this campaign really necessary, or is it just another fashion show for you?" "Well, as Diana was, I guess." The room froze. William looked up. Charles shifted in his chair but said nothing. It was a low blow, and everyone knew it. To bring up Diana, especially in that way, was more than rude. It was cruel. Kate's relationship with William's late mother had always been treated with care. Diana's memory wasn't just sensitive, it was sacred, especially to William. Camilla's comment wasn't just tone deaf, it was deliberately cutting. Kate quietly gathered her things and walked out, tears in her eyes. William didn't wait. He followed his wife out without saying a word. That moment was the end of any peace they might have had.
I think everyone wants some hope and wants some optimism, and I think the Earthshot encompasses urgent optimism. That's what we're here for.
Back at Kensington Palace, the silence didn't last long. William was furious, not just for Kate, but for what Camilla had said about his mother. The woman who had once caused so much pain in Diana's life had now hurt the most important person in his life, Kate. And that wasn't something he could ignore. William requested a private conversation with Camilla later that week. He told Camilla that her comments about Diana were disgraceful and her treatment of Kate was nothing short of bullying. And then he made it official. Camilla was no longer welcome around his family, not just emotionally, but logistically. There would be no more joint appearances, no shared events. Most importantly, she would have no access to George, Charlotte, or Louis. He told her directly, "You're not part of our circle anymore. Not mine, not Kate's, not the children's." It wasn't a decision made out of anger, it was made out of protection. William was choosing his wife and children over protocol, and Camilla had pushed him too far. This wasn't about petty arguments. This was about loyalty, respect, and the line that Camilla had crossed without hesitation. From that point on, royal staff were instructed to revise upcoming events, calendars had to be redrawn, photo ops scrapped, charity visits reorganized. Anywhere William and Kate would appear, Camilla would not. Behind closed doors, this caused a ripple through palace logistics. PR teams were left scrambling to answer questions about Camilla's sudden absence from high-profile outings. But the message behind the scenes was simple. Camilla had been cut off. William's decision wasn't up for debate. It wasn't a quiet suggestion. It was a direct order. And for the first time, Queen Camilla found herself on the outside of the family's inner circle.
And I think every family has those conversations, and you're just trying to do what you can.
After Prince William drew a firm line, Camilla was left standing on the outside of the very family she once tried so hard to be accepted into. Behind palace doors, her reaction was emotional. Camilla was said to be humiliated by William's ban. For someone who had clawed her way into the monarchy, rising from scandal to queen consort, being pushed out of William and Kate's world felt like a deep rejection. Insiders described her as furious, not just with William, but also with Charles for not immediately defending her. Losing her influence within the family didn't just sting, she saw it as a threat to her position. For years, she'd carefully shaped her image, attending royal engagements, aligning herself with charities, and quietly building power behind the scenes. Now, all of that was crumbling. Earls, as expected, was caught in the middle. On one hand, he's the king and Camilla is his wife. On the other, William is his son and heir and Kate is the future queen. Charles knew any wrong move could escalate the tension further, but there was no escaping the truth. The relationship between Camilla and William had hit a wall. He couldn't fix this with a few private apologies. He tried to mediate behind the scenes, encouraging Camilla to apologize privately to Kate and suggesting a soft reset, but it was too late. William wasn't looking for reconciliation, he was looking for distance. And for Kate, the damage was already done. As of now, the palace is doing its best to control the fallout. Royal aides are quietly adjusting appearances, making sure Camilla isn't booked alongside William and Kate. There's been no official statement, but the change is obvious. Camilla, once a steady fixture at Charles's side, is now noticeably missing from key family moments. Her reputation, carefully rebuilt over decades, has taken a serious hit. And inside the palace, there's a growing recognition that this rift isn't going to heal quickly, if at all. Meanwhile, Catherine's public image has never been stronger. She's widely seen as graceful, committed, and unfazed by the noise. And for many royal watchers, she now feels more like a queen than ever before, not just by title, but by conduct. But was William right to take such a bold stand, or has this royal feud gone too far? Let me know what you think in the comments, because this royal drama is far from over.